Okay, welcome everybody. First off, I'd ask everybody to please mute their microphones. We have a lot of people on this call and we want to avoid any feedback. So please, everybody mute your microphones. So I want to welcome everybody to the 2020 Canadian Premier League Final Media Day. We're in a bit of different circumstances to last year, but we're thrilled to be here and be part of the Island Games and have been able to share with our fans and supporters and media what we feel has been a really incredible season from Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. So we're going to start off with the Q&A with the commissioner. I'm going to again remind everybody to please mute their microphones and stay on mute until it's your turn to ask a question. We'll go through using the raise hand icon below to ask Commissioner David Clanachan questions. We're asking that you keep your questions to one question, one follow-up. And if we have time following this time segment, we will open it up to a second round. At the end of this Q&A session, the commissioner will be announcing the nominees for the 2020 CPL awards. So you want to make sure you're staying on for that. And following that, we will go through the two clubs in the final, starting with Halifax Wanderers and followed by Forge FC. So we're going to start with questions. Just as a reminder to everyone, this is being streamed live on the Media Alert. It gives you the coordinates to stream live for broadcast purposes, and we will have a full broadcast quality summary of this full media day following the final interview at approximately 2:30 p.m. Atlantic time. So I'm going to kick things off, and the first question goes to Neil Davidson, Canadian Press.
Thank you, Mickey. Thank you, David, for taking the time to speak to us today.
Thank you, Neil.
There's obviously one big game left, but can you give us your thoughts on how the tournament has gone so far? Obviously, it was a huge undertaking to put this on. Give us your take on it, and also, can you share what's next for the league after this? Future plans?
Sure. I'll try and get all of that out, Neil. First of all, I think the games have been fantastic here in PEI. I think they've been well played. I've been very pleased with the level of I'll call it parity, but the level of competition and from the teams. To have 7 teams still in the running on the final weekend of let's call it the first stage was unbelievable, and knowing that even Edmonton almost became a spoiler for Pacific FC. So it's been fantastic. I think the players have been excellent. They've played well, played hard. They've done everything they should have done as professionals. I think our coaches and the clubs have been fantastic, and obviously the referees from Canada Soccer have been outstanding as well, and they've done a great job. So I think overall it's been a great success, and most importantly, we've been welcomed here on the island, and we stuck to our health and safety protocols, and everyone's been very good. Not a positive test at all negative tests all throughout the games. So we did exactly what we said we were going to do, and that's the best plan you can do. Now for next year, I think going from here, obviously we still have the Canadian Championships to, once we crown a champion, we'll know who will face Toronto FC in the Canadian Championship. But that'll be decided where and when by Canada Soccer. And I think Canada Soccer made a great decision on putting the CPL champion against the MLS champion from Canada in a one-game final. And I think that's going to be exciting. And then we'll start to prepare, obviously, right away for next year, where I'm, you know me, Neil, I believe that the glass is always half full. I'm an eternal optimist, so to speak. So I'm approaching next year, hopefully that we'll have fans in the stands, and that our supporters can see our teams play live, and that we'll be past this pandemic that we're dealing with today. So we'll see how that works, but that'll be plan A. But we'll obviously work to plan B and C. Right now, I'm approaching next year as if we will be playing starting in April, like we have in the last. We've planned for the first season, and obviously for this season before we were put on hold. So that's what we see happening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Neil. Next up is Marty Thompson. Go ahead, Marty.
David, maybe more of a logistical question at this point, but final whistle goes on Saturday, and then what happens? Is the bubble burst or everyone leave? Like what happens after that?
I think some of the people that have been in the bubble this long, Marty, they're going to be running for the hills at the end of it all. Yeah, the bubble does it comes down. Let's call it after the final whistle. And so some of the PHO here in the province, they've said that's the way they would like to see it happen. So it allows the final two teams that are here to go out for a dinner and do the things they want to do. So I think they'll be able to blow off a little bit of steam and have some fun. Certainly one of the teams will, and it's nice to finish off that way. I will say though that when you look at the support that we've had from the province, from PEI, and from Charlottetown itself, as well as the provincial health officer and her staff, it's been fantastic. We've had so many people that have been very supportive of us, and recognizing that we brought almost 300 people to the island, which was a very, very safe place and still is a very safe place. So we're leaving it the way we came, which is the way it should be. And so, but it's been excellent to see how we've done this. And as I said earlier, the level of play has been very good as well.
Maybe just to follow up on that, you said you're welcome to the island, and I guess they haven't even had a chance to really go out and see much of the island at this point. But what are some tangible examples of how people there have brought you guys in? I suppose it's hard to do that in a bubble, right?
Well, you've got a lot of people that have from the island that are working, here at the conference center and the hotel. You've got restaurants across the island that have been bringing food into for the teams, because you gotta augment what's already being fed to people here. And so I think some of these delivery companies have done very well, and a lot of restaurants have done well from the players. I mean, they gotta feed the machine, right? So that's been great. The players have been allowed out a little bit, but always in controlled circumstances. Like go to a private beach type of thing where it's sequestered, out touring the island in one of the coach buses, obviously within their cohort of people. So they've been able to do that. So that's been good. And it's different times, right? And so again, the players have been very respectful of all the rules that have been put in place. They understand that they've got a job to do. I imagine, and a few of them have been said publicly, they'd love to come back another time. So who knows? But I think it's been very good for us. And again, the people of PEI have been proud. What I was really happy to see was that the Provincial Soccer Association, that's led by Peter Wolds here, he approached the Provincial Health Office and petitioned them and suggested could we bring minor soccer players to watch in small amounts. And they've been doing that for a number of weeks now, and it's been great to see young people go to watch these players play, and because they're their new heroes, right? And that's, I think, has been very good for the island as well. And the provincial soccer associations across Canada, they need the help right now, because a lot of parents are unsure of sending their kids back to play, right? Even though the return to play protocols that the provincial associations have put together have been fantastic. And we need to get that message out, that it's good for the kids to go back and play soccer. It's a great sport. It's outdoors. All of the great things about it, right? And we need to make sure that we support the provincial provincial soccer associations, Marty.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. Next up is Michael McCall.
Hi there, David. First of all, congratulations on putting on what I think everyone has felt has been an absolutely fantastic tournament. It's been enjoyable watching it from afar. It kind of got me thinking, and I asked a few of the head coaches this already. A future competition like this, is that something you'd like to see maybe as a kind of pre-season event? Because it's 6 months before some of these guys are going to be maybe back in the pitch again. Tying it in maybe with another Canadian championship or something like that?
Yeah, it's Michael. Listen. That's a great suggestion. Truthfully, and it's a brilliant idea because one of the things I worry about is how do you deal with this 6 months in between us starting to play again, if we're able to start playing in April, right? And we saw a little bit of this when we were down in the Dominican Republic in our first year for preseason training. That was interesting, and this is even better build on that. So yeah, you never know. Like maybe pull something like that off. I think we'd have to start to think about it and put a straw man around it to pull together a project plan. But it's a good idea because again, it's one thing to train, it's another thing to actually have game time, right, for the players. So yeah, you never know. I never say no to anything. So I think it would be very interesting. And certainly there's a break in some seasons right around the beginning of the year as well. So there could be opportunity there. It's a great idea.
Just as a follow-up then, a couple of the coaches, they've talked about maybe looking at ideas to try and get some of their younger players out on loan to Europe or something like that. Is that something the league is also actively looking at, maybe striking up a relationship with some leagues to get these guys some more playing time?
Yeah, well, we're already doing that at this point in time, right? We're working hand in hand with the clubs, right? With the strategy we have with the 21st club out of the UK has helped us bring in young internationals, but not, so the reciprocal has been now we're seeing clubs across the world saying, hey, we would like to take on some of the players. One of the young Jamaican players that was coming and couldn't get in because of the COVID restrictions, leaving Jamaica to get here in time in the quarantine and everything else. We've arranged for him to get a visa and to go and play in Scotland. And so he's playing. He's actually Dundee have signed him, and the British government has given him a visa for a working visa to play for Dundee, which should be very interesting for him. And then the idea is he's coming back to play for York 9 next year. So yeah, we're starting to see that happen. It is great to see even Canadian kids going and being able, or Canadian young men going to play overseas as well, and then coming back for us.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. We're going to take 3 more questions and then we'll move to the nominees. And then if time permits, I will open it up for one last quick questions for the commissioner around announcing the nominees. So we're moving on next to Tristan Demore. Go ahead, Tristan.
Commissioner, Michael kind of swooped in right before me to ask my question, but I'll kind of follow up on what he was talking about regarding this style of kind of tournament going forward. I was wondering, you said you wouldn't say no to that. I was wondering if you had some interest, kind of like a PEI from cities or just from clubs within your league that would be interested in maybe taking on something like that, maybe in a preseason setup.
Yeah, I think Tristan, it's a good question, and I think yes, the answer is yes. We've already had a couple of clubs say they'd love to have almost an invitational tournament. It doesn't necessarily just have to be CPL clubs in it. It could be other clubs around the world if they were available at the time. So yeah, it could be an interesting way to do it.
Thank you. I don't have any follow-up. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tristan. Next up is Adam Kosteniuk. Go ahead, Adam. Sorry if I butchered your name.
No, actually, you got it smashingly perfect. Thank you so much. Thanks for taking the time, David. I just wanted to have you unpack something you alluded to a little bit at the start of the call here, which is sort of the parity in the league right now. I mean, I don't think you could have really scripted it any better. You had, the round robin went down right to the last match weekend. Even the group stage did. How important was that for the league? Because last season was a bit of a 2-horse race, and given the format that you've had here in PEI with that group stage that follows sort of the quote unquote regular season, does that give you a appetite to maybe fold something like that in for 2021, assuming we're sort of back to quote unquote normal circumstances?
Yeah, I think from a normal circumstance perspective, I think we had a really good plan for this year. I mean, our schedule was tight. It was good. We were going to a one table league as opposed to a spring and then a summer fall. I think last year we were a lot closer than people thought we were when you looked at who was still in the running towards the end. There's no doubt that two teams, obviously Forge and Cavalry, their heads were kind of a little bit higher. They were head and shoulders above everybody else at the end. But it wasn't that. They didn't run away with it right away. Although sometimes it felt like that. I would agree. So I think I wouldn't want to do this in addition to during a season. I don't think I want to do that. I'd like to keep the clubs focused on what they need to do from a league perspective. But I think there's other ways to augment it, off season or pre-season, things like that.
And just a quick follow-up, if I could, then I know last year was sort of you had the season divided into two with going straight to a final, and you had moved originally to a playoff format sort of before global events transpired. Are playoffs something that you want to stick with, let's say, through 2021? Is that high priority for you?
Yeah, I think, we're going to go back. We're going to go into 2021. If we get a full season in, we're going to do it exactly the way we had planned for 2020, because we spent a lot of time talking to our supporters and our fans, and they really took us to a single table and to the playoff format. So we think there's a good model there, and it's going to be exciting. We saw, the level of excitement that just in the format we used here. So I think we'll go back to exactly what we were doing at that point in time for 2021.
Thanks a ton.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adam. Next, we'll go to Alan Hoots. Go ahead, Alan.
Thanks, Mickey. Hi, David, and thanks for doing this.
Hey,
as we approach the final here tomorrow, we've got upwards of 20 players that you've had in the league this year from U Sports that have played in the CPL. Including 7 that will be playing in the final tomorrow. And obviously HFX has the most in the league. So that's a terrific statement that, they're in the final with that many players. How would you characterize the partnership that you've had with U Sports over the last 2 years? And how important would you say that partnership has been? And what would you say it says about the success of U Sports alum and U Sports draftees in the league the past 2 years?
So if I was going to be very short on it, Adam, I would say brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. I think it's the partnership is vital to us. I think it's fantastic in the fact that, Alan, that we actually have this idea that we can actually have players come out and be able to get an education and play professional sport. It's groundbreaking for sure. It was groundbreaking at the time. No one else had ever done it, and I think we need to continue to do it going forward. It's been extremely successful for us, Alan. So again, I think brilliant, brilliant, brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alan. Okay, so we're just going to move on we're going to start with announcing the CPL award nominees for 2020. So the commissioner will read the nominees. I'm just going to share a screen to get started. Okay, so one second, sorry everybody. I did practice this. So we're gonna start with the Golden Glove Award.
Okay, so the Golden Glove Award for 2020, the nominees are from Forge FC, Tristan Henry. From Pacific FC, Callum Irving. And from the HFX Wanderers, Christian Oxner.
Sorry. This isn't working. I'm just going to pause for 1 second. Why is this? Okay, so we're now going to go to the next award will be Coach of the Year.
So for the Coach of the Year in the Canadian Premier League this year, our nominees are from the HFX Wanderers, Stephen Hart, from Forge FC, Bobby Smirniotis, and from Atletico Ottawa, Mista.
And now we're going to go to for some reason it's not working, so you'll just be announcing them. Apologies, the graphics aren't coming up on the screen. So the next announcement is for Player of the Year.
So for the Player of the Year for 2020 in the Canadian Premier League, the nominees are from Pacific FC, Marco Bustos, from HFX Wanderers, Akeem Garcia, and from Forge FC, Kyle Becker.
And then we're going to go to the Best U21 Canadian Player of the Year.
So the U21 Player of the Year nominees for the Canadian Premier League in 2020 are Mo Farsi from Cavalry FC, Chris Novak Nisa from HFX Wanderers, and from Valor FC, Julian Dunn. And I would remind everyone that the Golden Boot winner will be announced at the conclusion of the 2020 Canadian Premier League final tomorrow, September the 19th.
Thanks, Commissioner. So we have about 4 minutes left before we move on to the next round of Media Day. Does anybody, I'll do a poll for any last questions for the Commissioner. It can be about the award nominees or, okay, good, perfect. So we'll go to Michael McCall.
Hi, David, again. I just wanted to, you touched on it in your first answer there, just talking about the future and the Canadian Championship that's coming up. Now, obviously, yesterday, TFC's president made comments that he was thinking the games might get played in December, maybe January, looking to have them at BMO Field. I know ultimately this lies with Canada Soccer, but it surely can be ideal for the league and whoever wins the CPL title to be having to wait a couple of months to get this game played, might end up having a whole lot of different players. How much say do you have in when this match will be played?
Well, let me say this, Michael. I have 3 thoughts on this whole thing. First of all, Canada Soccer, in our opinion, Canada Soccer made the best decision they could on how to handle the Canadian Championships this year. So we were very, very pleased with that. A little tongue-in-cheek, I told the MLS clubs I was actually disappointed because I thought maybe 2 CPL clubs would be in the final this year, but we had a good chuckle on that. But we're delighted at the CPL, the Canadian Premier League, to have our champion play Toronto FC in the final. That's going to be a great game, and it's going to be great for Canadian soccer at the end of the day. The final date and location is still to be determined, right? And once we understand what the MLS schedule looks like, there's a lot of complexity to putting this whole thing together. So we look forward to the fact that Canada Soccer will make their decision, and they'll lay out where it's going to be and when it's going to happen, and we'll follow suit on that perspective. We trust the fact that Canada Soccer understands that our teams will stop playing for a while, and so I don't think Canada Soccer would want to see the scales tipped one way or the other, or put one club at a disadvantage versus the other. So we have full confidence in the fact that Canada Soccer will do the right thing, and as they have up to now.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. We'll go to Joshua Cloak.
Hey, David, just on the awards, the nominees, I might have missed this in a press release, but how were the nominees decided?
The same as they was last year, Josh. We actually we have our football development department. All those people weigh in and they come up with the list. Obviously, and then I see the list, and then after that, they'll be voted on by members from the media, just the same as we did last year, and that's how it'll be done.
Thanks, Josh. Last question to Alexandre. Go ahead.
Hey, David. I was just wondering, with your partnership with Macron for the kits,
obviously this year you guys announced the kits, like some of them way earlier in the year. Obviously, you only played some teams 7 games. Are you guys going to be using the same kits for next year? Or do you have a plan to make completely new kits and reveal them sometime in 2021?
Well, we've already finished the design for our next set of kits, but you bring up a great point, Alex, because a lot of the fans and supporters haven't really got a chance to see their teams play live in these kits, right? And they're great kits. So I've been asked this question a number of times by the clubs, and I said when we finish the Island Games, we'll have a Board of Governors meeting and we'll decide what we want to do. Obviously, we want to do the right thing by our partner at Macron. They've been fantastic with us, and we're getting people from across the globe asking us about our kits because they think that the clubs have done a great job in the way that they've been very creative and innovative, and the themes that we come up with, they're really well liked across the globe. In fact, I joke, we have about a 70 club group of Macron, different football clubs around the world that deal with Macron. And I joke with Gianluca, who's the CEO at Macron. I said, I think we've upped your game a little bit by challenging you to do great kits for the CPL, because I'm seeing some great stuff across the globe from Macron now. So, and so that's been very good. And I would, since you brought up Macron, I'd also like to thank some of our other partners. Obviously Volkswagen and WestJet and New Era and some of the caps they've done for us, and of course Macron and the other supporters we've had. It's been fantastic. I also think we should tip our hat to some of our sponsors here on the island, whether it be Tourism PEI or Discover Charlottetown or even the meetings and convention people in PEI. These people have been great, and they have supported us so well while we've been here. So thank you to all those people.
Okay, so right on time. I love it. So I want to thank Commissioner Clanachan for joining us to kick things off and announce the nominees. And we want to share our congratulations to all of our players who as nominees.